and also from Melbourne, Florida. And when he came on, he had a picture in the background before you all got here of Naples, Florida. But I think he's in his office or somewhere up north today. How's the snow up there, Lewis?
I had a show with my driveway yesterday. For the folks in the room, I'm from Jacksonville, so I know where Melbourne is. And of course, Tallahassee. FAMU was my second choice. I ended up at Morehouse, so welcome.
I'm so glad to have you on the call today. And Lewis, I've been impressed so much over the years, and it's such a privilege to talk to you today, but I've been so impressed by your commitment to the mission and vision and strategy that's trained over 10,000 adult students at Summit Academy OIC during your tenure as CEO. Tell us a little bit about your mission and strategy for preparing people to find work in construction, IT, and healthcare through Summit Academy OIC.
So it's good to be with you today, and thank you very much. After college, I spent 10 years as a professional soldier, was a major in the Army, in field artillery, and I sent to Minnesota teach ROTC at the University of Minnesota. It was supposed to be a 3-year tour. I've been here 32 years now. So my branch manager clearly had other plans for me. The truth of the matter is, I vacationed in Berlin for Labor Day in 1989. I got here October 1st, and by November 14th, the Berlin Wall was down, so I had to find something else to do. I noticed that, and here was another thing. I was 29 years old. I'll be 62 next week. I had never lived in an American city as an adult. So to find, and having been in Europe and on Army bases, where you had 100% employment, 100% healthcare, 100% housing, and 100% discipline as commander, I saw that. So it just took me, it blew me away to see little boys with their head turned sideways, brandishing weapons and acting crazy. And also, I wasn't aware, I didn't understand that my boys club was a nonprofit when I was a little boy. It was just boys club to me, so I didn't know anything about the nonprofit industry. And I looked around, and Minnesota has a great reputation for nonprofit services, and for all the nonprofits, for all the charity, we still had poverty, and things were always getting worse. And so I coined the phrase that the best social service program in the world is job. Now, that is like, it's hard for some people to swallow because they're in the business of taking care of the poor. And if you read what the grants writers say, they say that the poor are getting poor, and only they can meet the needs of the poor, and they should say, want more money right away. And they don't refer to poor people as poor. They call them everything else: disadvantaged, marginalized, undeserved. We don't like to face the fact that we're poor. That there are poor people. But as a boy that grew up poor, living in housing projects, and didn't know how poor I was, when I got to Morehouse, I had guys driving, and freshmen driving Corvettes and 280Zs. Some of you are old enough out there to remember what a 280Z was, right? And then I understood I was poor. Okay, but that was okay, you know. It's where I started, it's not where I ended, and I don't wear that on my sleeve. So in 1995, I did a merger and formed Summit Academy OIC, an organization called TCOIC, Twin Cities OICs, and these OICs are a network of training institutions around the country. There are 31 in 19 states. Just a little side note here, I recently took the job as president and CEO of the OIC of America. So I'm in charge of those guys in Melbourne and Tallahassee, the places I'm looking for, because I think that, well, Tallahassee isn't necessarily rural, but small town America has the same problems as big town America. Poor people socially and economically isolated. They get fed garbage through the media on both ends of the spectrum, and basically county with social services for all the nonprofits. The beat goes on. So in '96, I made a commitment to putting people to work, especially young men. An unemployed young man is not good marriage material. And I have 3 daughters, so we can't bring an unemployed broke boy home. That dog don't mind. Also, if you hadn't noticed, I'm African American. Like, I was born Negro. I'm not BIPOC. All right? I don't do that. But our community, it was forecast by Patrick Moynihan in 1965 that our wedlock birth rate would become America's biggest problem. And today we sit at that time it was about 25%. Today we sit at 70%. And people say I shouldn't talk about that out loud. I said, well, why not? They said, well, white people right here, they keep the records. So I said, we got to put these guys to work, get them on the corners. How can we do it when they're in the jail? Well, let's focus on construction. All the construction projects up here. If we're from the South, unions are really big up here. So in every project, they had government money, you had goals assigned, but nobody took them seriously until I showed up. And it was a Shaka Zulu moment for them because I knew how to fight. I mobilized people, we go to the state capitol, and I discovered that these construction companies were run by guys who loved their fathers, and their fathers' names was on the company. So if I brought embarrassment to that name, that meant more to them than anything else. And it wasn't something I wanted to do, but I had to get their attention. As a result, we became the largest construction trainer in the state of Minnesota. We helped build all 3 stadiums. We just put guys to work over and over and over again until now. I have business agents in the field, supervisors, superintendents, business owners. I've been at it over 20 years, so all of them aren't first-year people anymore. And what I call the ant trail has formed. Most recently, in about 2017, 2018, I have a good friend, Ted Mundell, the son of Walter Mundell, one of the best human beings on the planet. He came to me, he works for this company, Atomic Data, and they're into cybersecurity, and they just couldn't find people. And so we lifted and shifted to cybersecurity and IT. We're already in healthcare. And healthcare was hard to move beyond the S-PAN, the bed-pan type jobs, right? I sit on a health system board. There's virtually no way to go from being a CNA to a registered nurse. That career path doesn't exist. You got to go out and get credentialed and come back, all right? Those are low-paying jobs, and as you saw during the pandemic, they grind people up, and basically they're very dangerous also. And that's from a myriad of reasons. So IT became the strong focus, and today we operate, help desk, cybersecurity, network operations center, app development, and we're adding financial services and project management to the deal. The app developers in our first class, we had 7 people get jobs paying $60,000 a year. All right? I want you to think about this. An average student coming in makes $20,000 a year. 30% of them straight unemployed. At $60,000, you by yourself, starting wage, are in the middle class. And everybody talks about the middle class. They even make poor people think they're in the middle class, but they're not in the middle class, all right? They're just not making that money no matter what the rhetoric says. But $60,000 will stay very well in Melbourne, Florida. And because of the internet, you don't have to leave Melbourne now. Those guys and girls that got the app development jobs took the training virtually and also work virtually now for U.S. Bank. So my strategy going forward is to do more of this virtual training. Look at this call that we're having now. I wish you all had flown me down. Come on down to the Panhandle, maybe have a trip over to Fort Walton Beach or something like that, but maybe next time. But this technology allows us to meet together and also teach, learn, and work. And so it has sped up the degree to which people can enter the middle class and take down the barriers that have been there. Now let's talk about the school. The school itself, the methodology that I run, we have 5 enrollments a year. We are an accredited vocational training school. We offer certifications, and hang on to your guitar, no out-of-pocket costs. All right? So nobody pays a nickel. If you can't afford it, I go out and raise the money, and then you just come on in and we do the deal, and we connect you to employers. We have employer partnerships that are there. Right now, we're in the middle of a Sandsdemic. It's the beginning of a Sandsdemic. I'm sorry. Sands, as you know, means outdemic people. So the reason we're approaching a Sandsdemic is because the boomers like myself, some people I see sitting out there, all we think about is retirement every day, right? And we're about to exit the stage, and then there was a lot of us too, a very big class of people. Well, a few things happened. We had less children. The boomers came from families where there were 4 children on average. We're talking now about the birth rate. Today, the average is 2. So get it, right? We're growing an economy, we're losing people, and we're not adding people together. So it creates a gap. This is a belief that we will, Mother Nature is picking up the work of the civil rights movement by opening the doors of church for opportunity, just as it occurred 100 years ago with the Great Migration, when a lot of African Americans left the South and went north to work in the manufacturing arena. Now, the other phenomenon that this helps us deal with is the isolation of the rural communities. And this is a big problem in America. The politicians of today are different than those of the past. Today they're interested in power over policy and just getting things done. It's all about who's to blame for what, right? So then they pit the everyday individuals against each other by bringing them these messages, and your misery is real. The children grow up in these small towns. There's no businesses moving there. There's steady contraction, a slow death. So one thing that I believe we can do with this new era of technology is to bring life to our small communities. No matter where they are, we can go to the forgotten people in the forgotten places and give them a shot. So we run at Summit, we run about 1,000 people through the system a year. The goal is to get it up to 2,000. In Minneapolis, it's an interesting thing. It's overwhelmingly white. It's whiter than white. So you don't have an indigenous black middle class here. Everyone here, every African American here comes to work for 3M, Target, Best Buy, the banks, or whoever, Polaris. And then when it's time to retire, they leave. And when the children grow up, they go to college and never come back. So there's a constant drain on the intelligentsia and the social network, the social fabric of the community. This is the same phenomenon that occurs in small towns. Children grow up, and their famous words are, "I can't wait to get out of here." All right? They leave. So we have to find a way to put all of our people to work and utilize their skills and get them what they need. I think the future lies in hybrid forms of training over the internet, and we found ways to use virtual reality to teach plumbing and electrical. We're bringing those to the field. You got all kinds of jobs. I'm encouraging employers to go offshore, onshore, if you know what I mean. Bring the jobs home. And certainly the current world political situation is lending weight to that. Because we got a situation now where we don't know what we're going to be able to count on from one day to the next. But we know that we can count on each other, and America works when America works together.
Louis,
So that's the overview of who we are and what I do.
wow, that's so exciting to hear you know, the big picture these days. I didn't know you were getting out to the rural areas, and that's great. Can you tell us a couple of stories that changed lives?
Yes, you hear a lot about the Great Resignation. Well, formerly we had what you call, well, formerly the way the labor worked, we had employed and unemployed. That's now a new term that I'm using, the redeployed. There's a woman that I knew who was a waitress in the equivalent of a Publix, all right? There, it's called IV in Minnesota. Right, got a grocery store, got a restaurant. The week before the president declared a national emergency in 2020, they laid her off from the job. Subsequently, she enrolled in summer. We provided her with a laptop and $3,000 in support over the 20 weeks that she was trained. Today, she is a unit coordinator, making $44,000 a year, starting wage, in a hospital, and just got a daughter job doing the same thing. And her daughter lives at home. That house is bringing in $88,000 a year now.
Wow.
All right? Those people are not struggling. They can breathe. Another got story of a guy who'd been bumping along odd jobs, doing this, doing that, couldn't get his footing, came to us, went through the app development program virtually, and got the job at US Bank paying 60 grand a year, 20 weeks, no debt.
Wow.
You can always go back to college, and if he does US Bank, it's going to pay for it. Let me tell you something. I have a daughter, my middle daughter, and the oldest one, as a matter of fact. I don't know how they sleep in that with all the college debt. All right? The middle girl up in Atlanta couldn't even afford to buy a house. So, getting this certification